Hi guys, this is the report and the agenda video for our May 2013 board meeting at Creating the Future. Starting out with the report, we're going to have a little bit different format this month. Coming out of, I hope you guys have had the opportunity to listen to the debrief that Dimitri and I and Gail managed to have after our last meeting. The last meeting was so rich, it felt like Russian nesting eggs. There was so much going on in so many different layers. And so we learned an awful lot. If you haven't had a chance to listen yet, please listen to the debrief that we did. I know it's 90 minutes, but we made it into an MP3. You can listen in the car. You can listen while you're working out. You can, but some of the things I'm going to be blogging about, and I know that Gail is going to be blogging about as well, some of the layers that we were unpacking of all that we were observing going on at that board meeting. We're accomplishing so much with the one action of having our board meetings be participatory and having folks tweeting, and as we will have next time, having a guest in the room with us. There's so much richness there and so many layers that we're learning from that, and we're going to be blogging about that. We're going to be talking about that in some of the agenda items as well. One of the things that is becoming very clear from that, and I'm going to be blogging about that very personally because it's been very personal for me. I am at this point, yes, I am on the board, but I am more an executive director role than I am in board role, very much in the doing, in the day-to-day role. What that and my role as an executive director in a living laboratory about how change organizations work means that I'm simultaneously doing the job and examining the dynamics of what it takes to do the job well. And well meaning a lot of the push-pull and frustrations that every executive director feels. A lot of what makes it frustrating, what makes the job hard. Every time the job gets difficult, I am, because this is a living laboratory, I am in that position of not only dealing with the fact that the job got difficult, but trying to analyze and examine, okay, what is going on? What are the conditions that are making this job difficult so that we can unpack that and figure out how to make the job easier, more fulfilling, more flowing for people who are doing this work. So the whole issue of simultaneously doing this work while we're being a living laboratory is just a very interesting dynamic. We're going to talk about that a little bit in the agenda materials, but I wanted to share with you that it's also been a really interesting journey for me as an executive director. You know, I was joking during our debrief that I feel like I'm being executive director on behalf of every executive director in the world, trying to push through the things that are difficult to get to the other side, to look back and say, okay, what are the conditions that could make this less difficult and more joyful? More flow. One of those issues is an issue that you'll hear me talk about in that MP3, in that debrief. You'll hear me talk a little bit more about that in the future, but you're also going to see it right now in this report. And that is the issue of context. And one of the things that I realized after the last meeting is that, and the folks who are participating via Twitter were a really huge help in my realizing this, is that one of the frustrations that executive directors so often face is an issue of context. That as the ED, I've got everything from the tiniest minutia to the biggest picture in my head, and I can see all of the concentric circles that are the context of that minutia. Well, of course, we need to make this decision because it's going to affect this, and that's going to affect this, that's going to affect this, and that's going to affect our whole mission, and that's why we have to do this. I see all of that. Some board members see some of that. Some board members are really new and they don't see any of that. And so they look at that presenting issue and they go, ooh, this is the thing we have to deal with right now in a vacuum on its own. And some board members may see one circle, and some may see two. And now I'm not just talking about creating the future in our board, but I'm really talking about every board. It doesn't really matter. The executive director sees the whole picture. Some board members see some of the picture. Some of those see all of the picture. Some of them see none of the picture. And so what I'm going to be doing, and you're going to be seeing it right now in the report, poorly drawn, I will share with you, is putting together some graphics that we hope can help show that context at every point. So let's dive in and talk about the report itself now, and let's do the report of what has been going on over the past month. We have made huge strides on all three of our strategic initiatives for the year. And what you'll see on the screen now is those three strategic initiatives in context. What you're seeing here is that we have, in those three strategic initiatives, we have stabilizing our current programs to just maintain them until we can scale. We have enhancing our visibility to attract partners so that we can scale. And we have identifying partners and planning so that we can plan together and scale our missions together. So if we're looking at what would be normally traditionally transactional funding partners, taking the transactional piece out and having those partners really be involved in the work that we're doing so that it impacts their work as well as true partners. Okay, so those are the three strategic initiatives for this year. Stabilize what we currently have, enhance our visibility so that we attract partners, and then identify partners so that we can scale. We have made really big strides this month in just about all of those initiatives, which is very cool, because one of the things that happened over the first quarter, the first 3 months, is we really spent most of our time on the stabilizing and enhancing our current programs piece. Which was critical. I mean, that was just absolutely critical. Until we did that, we couldn't focus on anything else. Spent a little bit of time on visibility, virtually no time looking at engaging potential partners for this work. We spent so much time in, that was where our asset-based resource development planning came in. It came into the question of how do we stabilize and enhance what we currently have until we can scale. So with all of that in place, we now can say, okay, now we can move forward on all of these other initiatives. So if you look at the slide, you'll see a little bit about what we did and also a little bit about where the context is for that. That once we have stabilized what we have, once we are able to enhance our visibility so that we don't have to go chasing after people, that in some ways they will be coming to us, they'll be attracted to the work we're doing, then we need to start not only identifying potential partners that would be a fit, but having conversations to explore what exactly would such partnerships look like. And that's what you'll see in the green there on the slide, is having individual and group conversations to explore what would those kinds of partnerships look like if they are true partnerships. What all of that together will make possible, as you'll see on the slide, is we will eventually have a full complement of programs in all of the areas of our mission. And that will make possible that more effective and mindful practices and processes are the norm, will accomplish our mission. So what I wanted to do is sort of give you this sense of the context of why we're doing the work that we're doing so that it's not just work in a vacuum. Now let's spend time talking about what we did in each of those strategic areas. First, in the area of stabilizing and enhancing what we are currently working on, there's really two big things that are that we're working on right now. One is the urgency of developing faculty that's not Dimitri and me. Dimitri stepped onto the stage as faculty this month, which some of you may have seen in doing a flash class for us, his first webinar, which is really pretty exciting. But if we don't develop other faculty, it's just constantly going to be dependent on the bandwidth of the two of us. And we need to be doing all of these other initiatives as well. So one of the big things that we worked on this during the month of April was we had another really, really powerful faculty development meeting, looking at what are the qualities and proficiencies that we're looking for in faculty, so that if we're creating faculty, we know what we're looking for. The other, obviously, was the pursuit of webinars and workshops, and we did several flash classes, did a webinar for GrantStation, and so that piece is really well on its way in terms of stabilizing and enhancing what we currently have to maintain until we can scale. Looking back at the slide now, what you'll see in the other boxes, or circles I should say, we spent a lot of time, and you can see that that's the one that's got the most orange in it. We spent a lot of time this month working on enhancing our visibility so that we can attract partners, so that we can scale. We had finally, thank you to Alexandra and additional thanks to Jessica. I finally got a blog post in the Huffington Post, and it got tremendous attention, which was really, really nice. Lots of people shared it. They're still sharing it. It was in Huffington Post maybe a week or so ago. And as of the date of my recording this, it was about a week or so ago, and people are still sharing it. I'm still seeing it popping up, and I'm sure it's being shared that I'm not even seeing. So that's really cool, and I'm hoping to be able to blog for them on a more regular basis. We had we did a proposal. We actually did 2 proposals to BoardSource to present at their conference. BoardSource has opened up their conference to non-BoardSource presenters, and so we did a proposal based on the work that we're doing here as a board, the participatory governance that we're doing as a board. And we also did a proposal in conjunction with Vantage Point, which is a nonprofit resource center and volunteer center in Vancouver. And really excited about that because it would be for lots of reasons. One, it would be great to partner with them. They are such an aligned partner for us. They're the ones who recently published The Abundant Nonprofit, talking about looking at the abundance of talent in our communities rather than myopically focusing just on money. And so doing something with them at BoardSource would be fabulous. But if nothing else, it gave us the opportunity to work together on crafting it, and we're actually going to be having another conversation in the next week or so with them about exploring how we can work together even further. So that's really exciting in the area of visibility, what we did with getting ready for BoardSource or proposing to BoardSource, and hopefully they'll at least accept one of our proposals. We also spent time, Carl, you were part of it, Nancy Iannone was part of it, with Dave Svet and with Zach Breaker, furthering our work on our messaging. And you'll be seeing me blogging about that in the next, hopefully, day or two. Hopefully, maybe even by the time you see this video, I will have blogged about it. But our figuring out how to talk about what is creating the future, what are we doing? I loved Carl's use of understanding what's inside the tin and making sure that the label on the tin actually represents what's inside the tin. So that was another big piece of what we did this past month, working on our messaging. We also had, at our last meeting, we had a reporter from the Chronicle present. And she has written a story on the work that we're doing in terms of just our participatory governance. So anyone who is out there listening to this video or who will be part of our meeting know that your tweets may have been part of what Carolyn was writing about. I'm not sure when it's going to appear in the Chronicle, but it's going to be in one of the next couple of issues. So that's pretty big. That's pretty big. It reaffirms for me that there's not a lot of people doing what this board is stepping into doing. So that's pretty cool. Lastly, when it comes to enhancing our visibility, enhancing our credibility, enhancing our message, Dimitri started a blow it up and start over again on our website. Primarily, we looked at the homepage and we looked at landing pages off the homepage. Obviously, as we craft our messaging, that will go into the website. The purpose was not a strategic and an entirely strategic redo of the website. That's still coming. The purpose was our website looked like a consulting site. mostly because it was a patchwork on our old consulting site. And so what we wanted to do was we wanted to at least take a step towards looking at the 4 pillars of our mission, being what you see on the homepage, leading people directly to the blogs, which is where this living laboratory is living, having it say living laboratory right on our homepage, having it say on every main page that we are a nonprofit 501c3, so that people get at least a little bit better sense of who we are. You'll notice on every page, or on at least on every major page, it says that our website's under construction, and we have taken all the color out of the site. We have taken all of the graphics out of the site, just so that it says this is temporary. Once we figure out our graphic scheme, once we figure out our messaging, then that will come. But I'm just so excited about what Dimitri was able to do, just in terms of taking a step away from the consulting and towards what we really are. So all of that was around our visibility and messaging this month. So that's really where a lot of our effort went. The final piece of our 3 strategic initiatives has been to identify and start talking with potential partners who want to be more than transactional funding partners, and who want to explore what the hell that means. Because we know that we're walking into some territory that is not entirely traversed before. That there's some people who are exploring partnership, there's some people who are doing it and are excited about what they're learning. This is so R&D. And again, the fact that it's serving so many purposes at the same time, that our eventual funding for our scaling will be R&D in itself, to figure out how to do that in a way that is life-giving and not life-sucking, that is cooperative and not competitive, all of those things. So along those lines, I wrote a blog post about what we're thinking about, what we're trying to explore, what we don't even have questions for yet. And I have started inviting people to that conversation. What we're picturing is Google Hangout, just like we do for our board meetings. 2, 3 people, in addition to me, potentially Dimitri, potentially other folks as things get rolling, just exploring the question. And this is not going to be like a podcast. This is not going to be like my podcast for the Chronicle, where it's all about exploring this bigger thing. This is very much for the purpose of how can we do what we need to do in a way that exemplifies the community that we want to see, the future that we want to see. And so we're really going to be pushing and pulling, and I have no idea what's going to come of it, except that we're going to learn a ton, and that it's going to create a path to the way we want to fund and partner with folks to plan and scale our programs. And again, as you see in the graphic, once we can find partners and create those partnerships, we can actually finish our planning. We can figure out through that planning what it's going to take for us to accomplish our mission within the 10 years that you guys have said from the point we scale up. We can finally figure out what it's going to take to develop all of those programs, get it done, accomplish the mission, and go home. One of the other things that we did this month was we explored 2 demonstration projects that were not creating the future demonstration projects. What you'll see on the slide here, again, trying to create context in these concentric circles. Creating the Future's demonstration projects are going to be twofold. We're going to be, obviously, we are a living demonstration project ourselves. But we're also going to be seeking demonstration projects working with other partners in areas that we really want to explore. The whole point of this is proof of concept. Proof of concept in a way that we can go out and write about and evaluate and share what we're learning. So that whole education and demonstration piece of our mission. Proof of concept in terms of what we do with R&D from this. So if we're doing a demonstration project, we're going to learn from that. What do we develop from that? How do we convene around that? So you'll see in the graphic that those 2 pieces are interrelated. Prove the concept and then use them with all of those pillars of our mission. Finally, so that we can, again, make effective practices the norm and accomplish the mission and go home. The two demonstration projects that we started doing some exploration with this month, one would be creating a community-wide ongoing governance training in a mid-sized community. So that would be pretty cool to see if what it would give us is a living laboratory of hundreds, potentially, of organizations doing governance in ways that aim at vision and values, that are aligned, that are governance as leadership. And so that would be just a phenomenal demonstration project. We are not sure if it's going to happen, but it would be so cool if it did, to find an entire community that wanted to see what changes in a community if all boards are governing as leadership. That would be immense. That would be just immense. The other demonstration project that we started exploring with another partner this month is around the Change the World planning framework, the community impact planning framework. We know that that is an effective framework in developed English-speaking countries. We have seen it in action in Australia. We've seen it in action in New Zealand. We've seen it in action in the US and in Canada and in the UK. Does that planning framework still hold water in a war-torn environment in the developing world? And that is the demonstration project. It's the other demonstration project that we started an exploration of to see if it's possible that we could do that. So those were two other things that we accomplished this month. It's been a very busy month, very exciting, and again, all geared towards those three strategic initiatives, plus these two other demonstration projects that just happened to come up that we will just see where they go. That is it for the report portion of this video.